What's up, guys? We're back with part 2 of the series on this Honda Pilot. And before we go any further, check this thing out, man. Like, come check out this paint. This thing is absolutely trashed. You know, we did part 1, we washed it, but as you guys can see, the paint is extremely neglected. All those swirl marks, scratches, like, I don't even think you have any part of the vehicle that has a shine to it. This thing is absolutely trash. So that's what we're taking care of today. Those scratches, those swirl marks, those holograms, that oxidation, we're gonna be taking care of that very quickly, very easily, using our TORQ polisher and the Chemical Guys V-line of compounds and polishes. Stay tuned, I'm gonna show you guys how to transform this neglected ride into a brand new beauty. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's jump right in. I have a bunch of stuff right here on the table. Don't worry about it, don't stress out. I'm gonna explain it as we go. First thing that we have to do is decontaminate the surface. We're gonna be doing that using a medium grade clay bar. You know, that rough feel whenever you rub your hand against your paint, that's all embedded contaminant. So that's all like dirt, grime, industrial fallout that embeds itself into the pores of your paint. You wanna ensure that you remove that before you start polishing in order to have the best results. So with this right here, you get yourself a clay bar, form it around to a nice little patty or so. And then you have your clay luber here. Now with the clay luber, it's a synthetic lubricant. So with this right here, you're gonna spray it directly onto the surface. And you wanna be generous with the clay luber because you wanna make sure that it has the best slickness whenever you're clay barring the actual surface. So just like that, I'm gonna grab my clay bar here and I'm gently just gonna glide it left and right. Now, I'm not applying any pressure. That's a common question that we get a lot from, a lot of customers is, how much pressure do you put when you're clay barring? None. So reason for it is because you don't wanna damage or mar the paint. All you're doing, or all you wanna do, is glide this clay bar over the surface so that it pulls off the contaminants that are embedded in the paint. Now, you don't need any pressure for that. The clay bar does the work for you. So all you have to do is guide it and wherever you want it to, do that for you. And always make sure to use enough lubrication. You don't want to do a dry rub because then you could potentially mar the paint and damage it. But I mean, you're going to polish anyways. And well, in our case, we're still going to polish, so it doesn't really necessarily matter. But it's better to refrain from that happening to your vehicle, especially if you're not going to polish or anything like that. If you're just going to clay bar and wax your vehicle, you want to make sure that you do your safest whenever you're doing that. And just like that, I'm going to take off my clay bar from the surface, set down my clay luber, put my clay bar back into its packaging, grab myself a microfiber towel, and then I'm gonna buff off the excess of the clay lubricant. All right, guys, so one other question I do wanna address is, for those of you guys that ask if clay bars remove scratches, no. So I'll show you guys right here. The paint, it's still just as scratched up as it was before we started clay barring it. So as you guys can see, it did not make any kind of difference at all to remove scratches, but it did remove that rough feel, as you guys can see, or hear. You don't have that raspy kind of sound anymore, which is great because now you know that you've effectively decontaminated your ride. So next thing that we're gonna do now is a good old fashioned 50-50. Now, I like doing 50-50s because it lets you kind of gauge what you've done, and especially like if you don't know which combination of compound or polish that you're gonna use, this helps you better understand your paint. So now I'm gonna grab a piece of tape here and I'm gonna go ahead and put this right down the middle. I'm gonna do my best here to get all the body lines. Remember guys, your vehicle does have body lines. So, if you're ever polishing an area that has a lot of curvature, you wanna make sure that you're extremely aware about these edges because you do not wanna burn the edges. And then I'm also just gonna tape this top section here just so that I don't polish the hood. Even though we're gonna end up polishing the whole vehicle, we wanna make sure that we have our control panel as clear as possible. So the next thing I'm gonna do is set down my tape and I'm gonna grab my machine. Now I'm using the TORQ 10FX polisher here, accompanied with an orange Hexlogic pad. Now this pad works out great for cutting medium to heavy imperfections. So that's gonna work out great for something like this because we know that these are not fine. So we're not gonna go with the black finishing pad to polish something like this. We know that we're gonna need something aggressive. The next product that I'm gonna use is gonna be B36. Now this is our V-line over here. So before we start polishing, let me actually explain this to you guys real quick. So we have our V-line here. As you guys can see, I have a mess on the table. Don't worry about that. I want to show you guys what the actual V-line consists of. Now, this right here consists of 4 products. You have your V32, 34, 36, and 38. What does that mean? V32 and V34 are both going to be considered compounds, whereas V36 and V38 are going to be considered polishes. So if you guys can see right here, whenever you're cutting, it goes on a scale from most aggressive, such as V32, to finest, which is V38. So just like sandpaper, you know, the lower that you go, the more aggressive that it is, the higher that you go, the finer that it is. So in essence, when you're working on a vehicle like this that's extremely damaged, our best recommendation is to go with a cutting pad, and starting off with the least most aggressive, which would be like V36. Now, I'm not gonna bother wasting my time with V38, just simply because of the fact that this thing, the scratches on here, we know that they're bad. So this is not the time to refine. This is the time to cut. So we're gonna go with V36, which is a light cutting polish. Now, V36 works out great in these occasions because it's gonna allow us to gauge what we're gonna need and if we're gonna have to go with something more aggressive. So in this case, or in any case, this is my best recommendation to you guys so that you don't go and just go ahead and do a heavy cut when you don't even have to do that. So first thing you wanna do is apply about 5 dime cents drops to your pad here. Now that's the usual rule of thumb. Depending on the size of your pad, you want to ensure that you apply X amount of drops per the pad size. So this is a 5-inch pad, so I'm going to put about 5 pea-sized drops. And just like that, we're good to go. Close your spout, set that down, and then you want to grab some pad conditioner. 2 sprays, that's all you need, and you're ready to start polishing. So as you guys can see, I'm gonna make my way over here. I know I'm all over this place during this video, but I'm trying to just kind of show you guys like in real time, how you would go about polishing something like this. I know we do a lot of cuts in the videos, but this is something different, just all in one take, just pretty much down and dirty, just getting right into it. So now our pad is set up. We're just gonna go ahead and blot it out onto the surface. Now for best results, we recommend that you work in a 2x2 section. Reason for it is because you get better control of where you're polishing so that you better understand where you're at and where you've already done. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on speed setting 1 and spread it out on the low speed setting. So once you spread it out on a low speed setting, then you want to bump it up to the highest speed setting on your DA polisher. In this case, in the TORQ, it'll go up to 40, which you'll know that that's the maximum velocity. And then you want to go ahead and work it until the product becomes clear. And as you're working it, we recommend going up and down, left and right in a crosshatch motion to ensure that you get a nice coverage. So going back to the whole 2x2 section, the reason we do the 2x2 section is because the last thing we want you to do is focus, a lot of your time on this area, and then you kind of start stretching your product over here, and then you don't really get as consistent of a cut because you spent a lot more time polishing this area and maybe not so much this area. Because once you're polishing this area, it starts to become clear, and then wherever you kind of spread and stretch it to, that product is already broken down. So you're kind of like fooling yourself in a way where you think that you got that area, but you really didn't. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on to the high speed setting. Go ahead and break this all down till it becomes clear, wipe it off, and come back with you guys to show you guys the results. All right guys, so we just finished working the product and now we're gonna go ahead and inspect our results. So I'm gonna grab myself a towel here, a nice clean towel, and then I'm gonna buff off the excess of the product. And as you guys can see, the product, it's not as white as when we first applied it. It's actually kind of translucent in a way. Grab your microfiber towel, and then you want to buff that off. Once you buff it off, you see the amazing results that you pretty much receive just from a one-step kind of like product. V36 and orange pad works out amazing in most cases. So I know, you guys can't really see because I'm not pointing the light at it, but check this out. Grab my ultra bright light. Wow. Check out that huge difference. I'm gonna pull this tape off and show you guys this amazing before and after. You guys ready for it? Check this out. Boom. See how neglected it is right there? We make our way back over to the polished side. Huge difference. What do you guys think? Leave your rating of this epic 50-50 in the comment section down below right now. So that thing looks amazing. And remember, that was just a one-step solution. So we've only used V36. We haven't even scratched the surface with a more aggressive compound like V32 or V34. So V36 works out exceptionally well in getting, pretty much 80–90% of most surface scratches and swirls off the surface without having to resort with the more aggressive compound. So as you guys can see, the results, they look amazing, and we can actually get better results if we actually refined it with the white pad and V38. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So I'm gonna refine this little area right here with the V38 and the white pad and show you guys how much more amazing we can get this gloss. All right, guys, and that wraps it up with the V38. As you guys saw, nothing crazy. We pretty much mimicked the exact same motion that we did with the V36 and the orange pad. Now all we have left to do is buff it off with our microfiber towel and inspect our amazing results. And man, just check that out, guys. Just the actual depth of the paint. It looks so much better than what we had before. You can actually say that this actually pretty much got like a brand new paint job, just considering the fact that it's it has a lot more depth, it looks a lot more black, it looks a lot more rich, and you actually see the metallic flake in it. All in all, I'm super excited about these results. I'm gonna pull off this final piece of tape one more time, show you guys these results. And that's pretty much what's gonna be the perfect combination of applying and polishing the rest of the vehicle. Check this out, guys. Huge difference, way much better before and after compared to like what we had before. Super neglected, scratched, swirled, oxidized, back to a brand new high gloss shine appearance. What do you guys think? All right, guys, and that pretty much wraps it up for the series. As you guys saw, we found the perfect combination of polishes that we're going to use in order to polish out the rest of the vehicle. So we know what exactly works, which combination of polishes and pad and machine that we're going to use in order to get the same results all around throughout the vehicle. So we're going to continue with doing the rest of the vehicle, and we'll pretty much go from there. So if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you learned something new, comment down below. My name is Joey. This is Chemical Guys Detail Garage, and I'll see you guys next time.